Well, I feel very deeply for all those people who are trying to get to work or trying to pick up a kid. Very worried about the diversion of police resources when it needs to be stopping crime in cities like San Francisco, where firefighters are having to go there when they might have calls for fires out. I have to say, Sandra, I agree with you that you have to get to these criminals early. If something like this happened in Arkansas on a bridge there, let's just say I think there'd be a lot of very wet criminals that have been tossed overboard, not by law enforcement, but by the people whose road they're blocking. If they glued their hands to a car or the pavement, well, probably pretty painful to have their skin ripped off. But I think that's the way we'd handle it in Arkansas. And I would encourage most people anywhere that get stuck behind criminals like this who are trying to block traffic to take matters in their own hands. There's only usually a few of them, and there's a lot of people being inconvenienced. It's time to put an end to this nonsense.
Clearly, Senator, as we watch this together, and to your point about the way different cities and states can react to this, you're obviously saying that in your state you would deal with this much differently. As you heard from Paul Morrow, speaking from a law enforcement perspective, they know that there's cameras on them. They know that they can't obviously hurt somebody in the removal of these protesters. There's obviously a very delicate balance to dealing with this. And the longer it goes on, it would appear the longer it's going to take to resolve it.
Yeah, Sandra, that's why I say I sympathize with law enforcement having to deal with this. But I think it's time for private citizens who are the ones being inconvenienced here when they're confronted with these protesters just to solve matters on their own before the police even show up. Look, most of these people can be easily removed from the streets, and you've seen videos probably on the internet of that being done in certain places. Those are always the most popular people on the scene are the private citizens who took matters into their own hands. But it's exactly this kind of radical activism, this anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas activism that are blocking streets and calling out police and firefighting resources, that you have Democrats like Joe Biden trying to restrain Israel even after it's been attacked with 300 drones and missiles from Iran, or after October 7th, and they faced the worst atrocity against Jews since the Holocaust. They're worried about this radical wing of their own party doing this kind of thing now and doing it all through the summer, as you said earlier, and maybe even at their convention this summer as well. It has to end now, and we can absolutely not tolerate this kind of criminal activity. If you want to march around on a sidewalk or in a public park and wave a flag in support of terrorist groups, that's one thing. But to block the flow of traffic on major highways, that is a crime, and it has to be stopped immediately.
So as we continue to watch these pictures, in the context of all of this, obviously, is the huge Iranian attempted strike against Israel on Saturday night, which was an amazing display of counter firepower with the Israelis and the American Air Force and the Jordanians as well. But then we see people in America cheering the Iranian attack. We see activists who are rehearsing people in chants of death to America. What do you make of what is going on in this country, Senator?
John, it's a revolting display of moral equivalence. I wouldn't say it's going on in large parts of the country. It's going on in a large part of the Democratic left-wing base, though. And again, that's why Joe Biden is doing things like threatening to withhold weapons from Israel or telling them they should just take the win, if you believe reports from anonymous White House officials, as if it's a win to have 300 missiles and drones shot at your country. I don't think the people of Israel can stand by and just let that become the new normal in the Middle East, no matter how skillful and brave their troops and our troops are and were in almost stopping every single one of them. You'll see, I think, more peace and stability in the region, and also an end to some of these criminal protests in America whenever you see an American president that stands strongly with Israel and our air partners against Iran and its terror proxies like Hamas, rather than try to appease and conciliate them, both over there and here at home.
Okay. Senator, if you could just stand by with us. Again, we've